Hello. Here we are, and today we're reviewing this video that someone sent me without out any audio. I apparently I need to do commentary on this because someone didn't have any audio. Don't know who that person will be. Whoever it is, they evidently weren't thinking things through. So, Vector Explorer. You've seen this before, but I mean, we know there have been certain incidents recently with people failing hardcore U runs, more or less that exact jump, and you can see coming quite close there to falling in. Someone turning the camera as though they're going to get some extra speed on those stairs, and then utterly mucking it up. But nice positioning there. This person, who's definitely not me, is facing the right direction. Good for that. It's a nice way to start. You can just be holding W and go straight forward. Little bit of bad movement on that very last imagination orb, but you know what you can do. That is a threat. What are you going to do about it? A little bit of a turnaround to avoid hitting that thing in that wall, and the complete and utter spamming of enter. It's making the local chat go wild. Was the spamming of enter worth it? Well, no typing in the chat whilst trying to run forward, so I'd say that's a victory. And remembering this time to actually go this route. That's good. We don't want to go a long way. And the very strange combination there of a couple of different ways you can go about smashing those crates. One way is to don't build that. We don't actually need it to be completely put. Oh wait, we do. When it comes to smashing those crates there, one way of doing it is to jump kick all of them, because that way at least you keep your momentum and move on to the next one. I'm not actually certain which one's faster. I expect jump kicking is slightly faster. Okay, and this person's got a weird thing with their mouse. Don't know what's going on. Some rapid attempts to do that, and then realising that there's a bug on DLU which you can detect by trying to move the camera from side to side, which means this doesn't work. So going back, redoing that. Not quite the rapid fire clicking that one might see someone like Vaisky doing, but this person evidently isn't particularly fast. A little bit disappointing. I'd like to think we could aim for better, but as a community we work with what we're given. So that's Venture Explorer done. It's about 3 minutes. There's only 2.5 hours of footage left. I've just realised just how much footage I'm going to be recording commentary for, and it's a lot of it. Fortunately, I'm not going to try and do the same thing I did the other day, and record all of it in a commentator voice, where we are going to say that every particular thing that is happening is the most exciting thing that is currently happening at that particular moment. And okay, so backtrack around right at the beginning for the heart flag, very good, because it's annoying. There's no real downside to not having it, but it's a little bit annoying to have to go back and get heart flags later on, so it's quite nice to go and do that early. Stuck in a camera motion, and I just noticed whilst watching this that there are binoculars on the back of Epsilon's jetpack. Nice, I guess. Here we are. Let's see. So the first place this can go wrong, and I mean technically it already has gone wrong. Don't think it makes that much of a difference, but technically the spear technically they have smashed something with a weapon. So that's rip this hardcore LU run, I guess. Guess I don't need to do much more. That's it. Thank you all for watching this commentary video. I'm assuming the rest of the 2 hours of footage is just a rickroll or something. I don't know. That's what the internet does these days, isn't it? It's a rickroll. Trying to go through, get the heart flag. Appreciate the idea. Some sloppy execution getting through that window, but you know, running away and entirely forgetting that there's a mission on hand to smash a certain number of Stromlings. Person's a little bit incompetent. Oh, remembers it, and very lucky gets Maelstrom Brick. Nice for making a start on that early. Lots and lots of the single jump attacking whilst in the air to preserve momentum. Person very much likes that, but whether or not it's entirely worthwhile given the time loss that was just occurred elsewhere, and then a panic escape and a rather risky jump move, like multiple runs have been lost recently, and there we have it again with the not finishing any quick builds. Apparently that's a thing nowadays. Maybe that's one of these memes the kids keep going on about. Don't know what's going on with them, but maybe that's one of them. Is that a meme to not finish a quick build? To clarify, I am joking. And the classic LU double jump whilst you move literally anywhere at any point in time, because hey, it's slightly faster. There's the walking towards the bus in the hope they'll move up, realising it's not going to move up and you are trapped forever outside, and being then just generally sad. Spamming the emotes, C15, 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 and yeah, then hitting it again. So if you do just spam the emotes, you get the same thing we've currently got over in the backpack and the bottom right hand corner, where you, or at least we did up until a second ago, where you have a little thing telling you to still equip the item, because there's that thing that came up and you did it possibly faster than the thing came up to tell you to do it. You get the same thing with the speed chat, telling you to salute, but fortunately, you can do that. I guess you could hit C15 whilst you're running, but you can also hit it in the middle of a cutscene. That's one of the very, very, very few things you can do in the middle of a cutscene. The only other thing I've seen in the middle of a cutscene that you're able to do is to move something, is to move a consumable into your hotbar. You can't move anything else. You can't equip anything or anything like that, but you can move consumables into your hotbar. You can't, however, use consumables, and nor can you even open, well, I guess these are consumable, but you can. I guess it's not obvious they are, like bags of bricks. Still can't open those. So going around now, not taking too much damage. Got a pod rocket there. Pod rocket, I remember going around in LCDRU back in the day, those being very rare, luring the Stromling in there whilst keeping a safe distance. I mean, it's one Stromling, probably could have smashed it yourself, but you know. Going back to get one Maelstrom Brick whilst the other one's dropped. Obviously, I am heavily throughout all of this backseat gaming, and you do actually have to react to these things in real time, I guess. And going with the slightly more audacious technique of building multiple quick builds at once, just leaving that quick build. Oh no, not leaving that quick build unbuilt. That quick build had the message saying shift, but didn't go and pick up the hearts back there. Fortunately, they've got some hearts over here, but yeah, there were quite a few. They were down to 2 health. Not the best place to be. Not the worst. And the worst would presumably be 0. And again, there's another quick build not dropping. Bit of a shame. Or the quick build drops, but the quick build not being buildable. If you're wondering how I can tell the quick builds aren't buildable, it's when they just say shift and they don't say shift one imagination. And there we are. We've got the 5. When I say we, don't know who I'm referring to. This person has got the 5 firecrackers. Very nice. So being knocked away from the Stromling mech, but not getting the advantage of not being being far enough away that you're able to dodge. Not taking the advantage of being far enough away that you're able to dodge their attacks because they've knocked you back. Still getting hit by that anyway. Bit of a rip. kind of takes advantage of it. Nice bit of strategy there, letting go of the quick build in time to smash the strongling that's coming towards you, because the strongling will just knock you out of it. There are some times when you might want to go for it, but if you're close enough to finishing it, it sometimes is worth it, because sometimes the turret will rebuild. Oh, sorry, the turret will be rebuilt and will fire and smash the strongling before it reaches you. Other times that won't happen. In fact, you don't even really need to care about it doing that before it reaches you. And here we have problems, because there are rather a lot of stronglings. Running away, yeah, that's an appropriate reaction at this stage. Going for higher ground. So higher ground is something that makes it easier to deal with large clumps of stronglings, because the real risk for stronglings is being hit by them whilst you're ground pound attacking. Because if you ground pound attack, you can smash as many of them as you like simultaneously. Or I'm not certain. Well, I think there probably is an AoE cap, but it's large on ground pound attacking. So you're normally pretty safe to smash loads of them. The issue is that it is possible for you to be knocked out of your attack animation whilst smashing them, which isn't brilliant. A little bit too soon on the jump kick there, but there we are. However, it's significantly safer if you can gain height from the terrain. So if you're already above them, then it's more or less perfectly safe to ground pound attack. But you're just at risk if you were already a little bit higher up. Or if you're already at the same height or a little bit lower, rather. I'm fairly certain we don't have. This person's a funny boy. They are referencing an r/Nexus Force meme. Yeah, that's all I'm going to call out on that. These kids and their memes, as one might say. So nothing too bad yet. Still on health. Not actually the bold move of not having the backpack open. Not having the backpack open, so don't know how many Maelstrom bricks they've collected at this stage. I did have it open earlier. Closed it at some point. But worst case scenario, one has too many Maelstrom bricks, and that's not a huge problem. Inventory space, certainly on DLU at the moment, isn't that hard to handle. So, yeah, because they've got the additional, I think, 2 backpack slots per level at the moment, which has been added on. And finally checking backpack, realising actually 1 too many Maelstrom brick. Being a little bit careful here, because the number of times I've come close to being smashed whilst talking to Beck Strongheart. It's a lot. Spamming C14 presumably. Yes, indeed waiting. But weren't doing the stuff that would have been useful to do whilst waiting, like getting ready to equip shields and the right weapons. Not great. Not going to survival, going to self stuff first. That's a reasonable move. Yeah, you're going to buy more health kits with that money. No, you're going to actually sell a health kit. Interesting strategy. Very bold move. Very, very bold move, if I may say so. But going for survival, not too hard. Certainly not on DLU. Honestly, harder on Uchu, in my honest opinion. At least as a low-leveled character. Because DLU, you can more or less survive indefinitely by running in a circle. I'd argue that actually AI makes it easier on DLU, because all the enemies run towards you and they will follow a nice and defined path. The valiant attempts to get out of bounds. Fairly certain it's not possible to jump out of bounds. You can see getting a little bit close there. if you get enough momentum, you can get behind those bricks. And oh, hello, there's something here. That doesn't have a blue name tag. Not blue, purple name tag. Doesn't have a purple name tag, and it is hitting you, so you should probably run away. Nice use of the jump kick, very helpful, and just moving back and forth. Yes, so for those who don't know, there are internal game factions that determine what can and cannot attack what, and in this instance, that was close. Should maybe be a little bit more careful. In that instance, there's an issue where in live these mechs wouldn't, well, in an earlier version of LU, the mechs weren't actually attacking things, they were friendly, and as such they're still in the client, or at least certain mechs are still in the client as having a passive ID, and it needs to be a passive faction ID, and it needs to be overwritten manually by the server. Actually, they don't have any entries in them, or any. I don't remember. They don't have anything useful in the faction ID thing. I don't remember precisely what they have, if anything. And that's what leads to that. Not certain why one of them spawned like that, but, such is life. Running down to Wispley, obviously have the 15 Maelstrom bricks. That's brilliant. That's what we really want. So, what was that? A little bit of fancy sideways slope speed there. Tried to go for it again, didn't get it. Tried to go for it again there, didn't get it. But, we appreciate the one attempt. Are they going to go for the... No, they did not go for the classic runoff when you first get that mission. They weren't exactly ready to use the Maelstrom vacuum the second they got it, but, every little bit helps. We like a little bit of speed. They're gonna go for the big boy strategy of running around the corner. I wouldn't if I were them. It's overrated. Just might as well stay do it here. Posture safe. And not too much to say. Like, this is... I don't know what you want me to say about placing down Maelstrom vacuums. It is not the most interesting of pursuits. It's possibly one of the, I would argue... Okay, there are the faction missions in... Well, not even the faction. Okay, so in terms of Hardcore LU, I'd say it's one of the harder, necessary. One of the harder early game parts. There are some... Not harder, sorry, most boring. There are some tedious late game parts, such as, Nexus Tower fetch quests. So there are some Nexus Tower fetch quests you get early game, but they then make you do even more late game. Those get a bit tedious. But this, in terms of, tedious stuff in the early game, that's the most... Hey, I'm going to wait, I'm going to walk back and forth. I guess, honestly, the Spider Queen battle kind of is, but at least that has stakes to it. There is literally no danger. Because I wouldn't even say farming for the Maelstrom bricks is necessarily tedious, because there are enough enemies there that you don't play that by a loop. Which I guess is what tends to make... Oh yeah, you're not necessarily going back and forth with that Maelstrom... I love how there are the two Maelstrom bricks, and I can't really distinguish them. The floating Maelstrom brick, the Maelstrom vacuum mission, I guess I could say. Getting rid of those typed characters whilst in a cutscene. Good use of time. Not much you can do in cutscenes, so you might as well do what you can with the little you can. Nope, no luck on the bus. Maybe another day. Oh, and here we are, remembering to go get the rest of the heart flags, because we went on that valiant attempt to collect one very early on, and then totally forgot that the rest of them were there. We're going to see okay, not quite the confident single jump up, but the double jump up there doesn't hurt. So a little bit of a bonk on those stairs, but This isn't a speed run, it's hardcore LU, so that's fine. And you just, yeah, have to, what's even his name? Rusty Steel. Rusty Steel, being a little bit confused, there's a random guy running around, but honestly, he sees so many of them nowadays. No, you're not doing that mission yet, are you? The instinctive, just climbed up here, therefore I must be doing the quick build these 3 things mission. But you were not in fact doing those. Jump around, scanning off a bird. Not that mission either, but hey, good work. Appreciate the dedication to the cause. Good building this up. But now you don't have enough imagination because you built that one thing. Nice. Arguably a waste of an ocean potion, but ocean potions are cheap, not the worst thing in the world, I guess. The pro gamer there, going for that imagination orb. That is truly the truest of pro gamer strategies. Green path now. Green path, edgy. I mean, not really that edgy. Necessary to get this heart flag, and then there are just 2 more to go. Little bit of a nonchalant dive out of that cave there. Nearly overshoots it. Doesn't quite. Tries to go too fast. Falls off the edge of the arm, but that's understandable. Ooh, going for the jump. That's. I mean, again, it's not that nothing in the monument is truly risky unless you're playing around, I don't know, trying to get some sort of weird physics glitch with lasers, then they might smash you. But, like, as jumps go, that could waste a bit of your time. Trying to make that jump is one of them. It gains you a little bit of time, wastes even more. Arguably, on average, probably wastes more. It certainly does if you miss it. It's not the tightest of jumps in the world, but it's not free. Just ignoring the Strawlings. Good idea. They won't catch up, but a bit of a bonk. Bonk on those stairs, not great. Again, it's not a speed run, so it doesn't matter. Which is why not speed running is, I don't know. Seems far more achievable to me. I'm way too scared to speed run. And actually going and clicking for the trial faction gear relatively quickly. I'm quite impressed with me. I was then a little bit less impressed by the spamming B and closing it, but impressed by going straight away to select the trial faction gear, because that's easy to forget. Because that is one of the more annoying parts of LU, or trying to speedrun LU, and probably one of the reasons I probably won't, which is just the time you can lose on quests by not spamming enter. It was quite, but maybe wondering, hey, didn't that energy ball seem to hit them? Yes, it did. Fortunately, all that really matters is whether the server or the client is that both the server and the client agreed to the person getting hit. There, evidently the server did not. Hey, noting the running the wrong way into the Spider Cave, trying to go back to Melody Foxtrot. That was a lot of punches missed there. That was 5 punches missed on that. Yeah, that was a little bit risky. To continue fighting that one, I mean, it paid off as long as you didn't get hit by the lunge attack, you're safe on that. But because the web sprayer attack only does 2 damage, I appreciate the jumping at that thing, then realizing, wait a second, I don't need to smash it. I'm still on full health. It's always good. Yeah, as long as you haven't been hit by the lunge attack, you're still safe. If you have been hit by the lunge attack, then you should run back and regen armor. They weren't, so that's fine. Again, missing one of the early shots, and these aren't the early shots that you arguably could quite logically miss. Ooh, that was close. That was close. Don't know if you saw how close the web shooter was to being charged up there. That would have hurt. That'll hurt, because Web Shooter, that was pretty much exactly what I said you should be concerned about when you've been hit by the lunge attack and the Web Shooter's fully charged up. Going in here with 3 health, it's a risky move. One that doesn't really have much of a payoff other than a small time save, but should be safe, was safe. The only risk there going in with 3 health, more or less, is again being hit by the Web Shooter, because the lunge attack will do 2 damage. And you'd already been shot once, so you were on 3 health with only the lunge attack and web attack available. Well, web attack would kill you instantly, but the lunge attack comes first, so more or less safe. Yeah, not certain if that was pointing out the rather low amount of health. I mean, it wasn't as low as it had been, but I guess maybe just pointing out the utter terror that must have been elicited earlier with that one Web Shooter incident, at least. I'd have been terrified if it were me. I mean, obviously it isn't. No idea who made this. But whoever it is probably won't last much longer. Oh wait, it's 2 hours and a half, this video. Okay, maybe they will. Okay, regenerating some health. I mean, not that you're going to need it, really, and you will get 3 health by going around the monument because you have to smash a lot of stuff, but hey, yeah, never hurts. Especially given you're talking to Beck Strongheart, who has a real tendency to just ignore whilst people get attacked. Okay, so are you going to... No. Oh, yes, okay. You're going to go and finally buy some health kits, because you need those for the Spider Queen. No? Alright then, no health kits. So presumably, there's some reason to go back and, hey, got it in 1 this time, nice. There's some reason to argue going back to Klaus Set later on, because if you go back to Klaus Set right away, then you'll have stuff left in your inventory, so maybe they're just planning on going back directly before they fight the Spider Queen and selling all of these shirts for achievements they've picked up along the way. Okay, let's see how fast this can go. Nice, running jump, doesn't stop to get it. That's the fast strat. Or at least I believe that's the fast strat. Yeah, I think it is, because I think otherwise you've got to wait a second for that to respawn. And facing the right direction, runs the right way right off the bat. Not bad. Not bad. That's one of the things that can be kind of painful with missions in LU, is when hey, now is the time you meant to build it. Is when they basically face you in the totally incorrect direction. That could be a little bit peeving. There we are. Yeah, you can activate this. Well, and I think most quick builds you can try to start building mid-air. Yeah, this recently on DLU the camera stopped holding you in place there. I don't know. Well, I think it's recent on DLU. I don't remember. And I don't know if it's live accurate or not. I really know nothing about it other than the fact that I don't think it was happening previously and now suddenly is. But I know literally nothing else. You're going to take a look around the monument. Hey, you're gonna go a full 360 degrees, but hey, yeah, as mentioned, mission's disorienting. Credit for the smooth wall stuff. Hey! Credit for making the easy part of the ridge run look like the hard part of the ridge run. A little bit disappointing, if I'm honest. Expected better, but, such is life. Oh, hey, you've actually got a mission. It's to scare off birds. I'd totally forgotten. Hey, you scared that one off earlier. Okay, so some credit for the recovery there and jumping to the right place. Not much credit for needing to in the first place, because that was just trying to go too quickly. But Loses control there, but fortunately, even if you do lose control there, there's not too far you can actually fall. Like, there's nowhere you can really go. That was, what, 2 birds? 1, 2 birds? Let's say worth it. Especially if there will always be enough here. If you only need 2, then that's almost always going to be enough. And there we are. The classic spamming enter. Yeah, I mean, that's just a mood. Spamming enter and then doing that. The 1 Quixsicle. 1 Quixsicle. And nope, not going to go for that. So the 1 Quixsicle presumably being for the ridge jump, and the not going for the 1 Quixsicle because, well, Quixsicles can be useful in the Spider Queen battle. And you know what I was saying about doing quite well on the wall climb earlier? First the ridge, and the stairs. Yeah, so ridge jump, wall climb, and the stairs. All of them seeming quite difficult there, if I'm honest. It didn't seem too easy. We'll make this jump. Yes, okay. Little bit of showing I can do it. And note, going up here rather than trying to jump directly across. I think it's faster. It's not faster if you have a quick. Well, if you're up there and you have a Quixsicle, I'm not certain. But if you have a Quixsicle, if you're going to use a Quixsicle, you might as well have used it whilst you're on the ridge. If you're up there without a Quixsicle, I think it's probably faster. Just continue climbing the stairs and go to the bouncer. And that last bit there was the only bit of slope speed actually obtained, despite jumping up and down the entire way down that hill. Not saying this isn't a 10 out of 10 run, but a little bit of sloppy movement. And here we are, on our way to the one and the only Belokketh a Yardeth. Here we are, taking some damage as we get hit in. So we get in. Oh, and taking another bit of damage. That bit of damage you can normally avoid, but no such as life. And there are loads of smashables around here, so you're more or less safe. I don't know if going up there would have in live de-aggro the Spider Queen and make her reset her health. I suspect her health probably doesn't reset just because she's like the first boss in the game. And oh, wait a second. Have you just not? Yes, you don't have enough health kits. Yeah, because you didn't go back and buy any more. And on average, for those of you who don't know, on average it typically takes about 10 health kits per stage of the Spider Queen. So, 20 health kits in total isn't ideal. Just getting 1 heart there, that's a good strategy. Got probably, 3 hearts from each of those maybe. So got quite a few hearts around the side for when you need help. Down to 3 going to get some. Not bothering to only get a couple. I guess it makes sense. Going for that, I guess, because going for the health kit, because I guess it's just too demoralising having just gone and gotten health kits to come back and have to run away for some hearts so quickly. Little bit of server client not keeping up. Oh, those are going to disappear now. Which doesn't bode well for the other ones, does it? Because those weren't smashed too long after. That other one wasn't smashed too long after. You can see them flashing out of existence. Not going to make it. Did not, in fact, make it. And the sneak attack on that of that jump, and another use of the health kit. So yeah, health kits are going to be a little bit low in this run, because 30 health kits is more or less the amount. That could have been down to 1 health there, which is scary, and would have had that other shot coming from behind hit a second sooner, and we were pre all the heart flags being obtained. Well, that would have been death. Wow. The very, very rare occurrence of actually being hit by one of the airstrikes. And impressive on the part of the Spider Queen that she managed to get a combo off of the knockback airstrike attack. It's quite impressive, quite impressive. She doesn't often do that, but yeah, it's truly a power move. Going for all of the ones in that, I guess it's too much effort not to. That's fair enough. I respect that. Being knocked about a mile back, I guess just deciding that it wasn't worth it to... Because sometimes she will jump up and down quite a few times and will not actually go in for that particular attack. Jumping straight into the path of one of the energy orbs, but fortunately the game not keeping track of that. And getting down to about a third of the way. This is seeming, or at least a quarter. This is seeming a little more plausible now. It's a quarter of the way. 3 health kits used, not too bad. Just gonna, stand there and get hit by 2 of the easiest attacks to dodge in the entire game. Quite impressive. Running away, then deciding not to. Running into the corner. I haven't seen where the other one was yet. So, that was... It's a good tactic. It makes sense to always try and do this if you possibly can, to always try and separate the 2 spiders so you can fight them one-on-one. Because if you can fight them one-on-one, that will save firecrackers, and you might need the firecrackers later on. So, good move. I'm a touch annoyed with myself, because I did another one recently where I had 2 rather clutch moments, and I think I deleted that run, because I have a limited amount of space on this computer, and every single run, like, the thing which takes up the most space on my computer are just videos, so I've had to start going through and deleting all of them, which is, a little bit sad. Don't have the originals in most of them now, so just got to trust the YouTube uploaded version, but such is life. And let's face it, it's not like I need the originals for anything. Nice healing up a little bit. Well, I guess you technically want to heal up early, the second. You want to heal, like, as a rule, directly after their damage has been done to you, because, that was a bit of a rip. Smashing that directly in time for the orb to come through and hit you, but fair enough, whatever floats your boat. The standoff. I mean, I might as well whistle that. It's not like there's much going on. It's a Spider Queen fight. They all look more or less identical. Okay, aside from the Spiderlings, every Spider Queen fight is identical. Even this one that has the little added bit of je ne sais quoi, if you pardon my French. That's me trying to sound like I don't know, English person who can't do a French accent, trying to be posh by doing one. Which, I guess, when I say I was trying to sound like that, it's not very hard. Given that, let's face it, my French accent isn't exactly the best most of the time. It's been quite a while since I last did French. Okay, there are 3 of them. The backing of oneself into a corner here, very, very risky move. Because you could have 2 attacks simultaneously from 2 different directions. Doesn't look likely now. Probably safe, but a little bit scary. And that was without having the... This is without having health kits equipped. I get the idea of having the firecrackers equipped just because of how quickly this could go south, but bit risky. Seems to be paying off, though. Taking a little bit of damage, but, that's fine. A little bit of damage never hurt anybody. I mean, well, by definition did. Remembering to move backwards before the Spider Queen lands. And we're back to a standard Spider Queen fight. Standard Spider Queen fight, but now that was, I think, 3 health kits used during the first phase, 3 health kits used during the second phase, so more than safe. I guess what this does show is that it is more or less feasible to do the entire Spider Queen fight with fewer than 30 health kits. I guess 30 is very much the ideal number. You can get by with fewer if you so choose. And now we wait. Old Whistle, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but that's not exactly thematically appropriate given, well, the Spider Queen knows exactly where I am. There's no kind of tension building up. You know, the Spider Queen knows where I am, and it's not like we're waiting for one of us to pull out a pistol. We're both just attacking. And if I keep whistling that, I'll go into Pirates of the Caribbean. So let's just take that as being the ending. Are you not entertained? Indeed. Right. I mean, this is standard. I'm trying to remember how the tune goes here, given I do try and whistle this every time I get here. Don't remember it off the top of my head. This is what I should do. I should do a hardcore LU run where I just whistle the soundtrack the entire time, because that wouldn't be awful for you guys to listen to. Nope, that's okay. That just really wasn't the right soundtrack. I'm trying to now remember. Was that? I'm trying to remember where that soundtrack's from, because I don't know. It gives me like Brick Annex vibes, but I don't think it is. It feels like it's it feels like it's from a trailer or something. No, it's definitely not the piece that plays here. Yeah, I mean, this is I'm commentating, so I can't even regale you with adventures from my day-to-day life. I mean, that's a complete and utter lie. I definitely can, and probably should, if I want this to be in any way interesting. An interesting or enjoyable thing to watch. In fact, this is arguably the perfect opportunity for it, because, well, I'm not doing this right now, so I don't need to think. It's always very nice. Don't need to think about playing the game, so I actually could put effort into speaking. So something I found interesting recently. Well, it's not recent. So this is a recurring thing that I find keeps happening, and I don't learn from it, and I wonder how prevalent it is with other people as well. So it's this. Oh, okay, backpack flag. I will say that as if you couldn't see that. So yeah, one thing that it's happened to me a couple of times now. It's the notion of being. It's a really kind of weird thing, because okay, where to begin? I think I would begin with the phrase which will annoy anyone who's actually taken the Myers-Briggs personality, not Myers-Briggs personality test. That gives away what I'm going to talk about. Anyone who's actually knows anything about psychology, because the Myers-Briggs personality test is not based on psychology whatsoever. But anyway, the thing that will begin explain most of this is INFP. I'm not an INFP. I'm an INFJ. Wow, my memory is good. Yeah, it's something a friend got me to take the test ages ago, and I was always a little bit uncertain about the I, because I don't feel like I'm necessarily an introvert. Certainly, I don't feel as though the definition of introvert kind of applies to me. So, the actual definition of introvert, the kind of in part, I've heard now definitions that go even more into depth on this, but a definition of introvert is, or introversion/extroversion is the question of where does one gain one's energy. There's a slightly more complicated definition, I seem to remember, but involving like extroverts use their energy on spending time with large groups of people and gain energy back from small groups of people. Introverts use it on small groups of people, gain it back from alone time, and ambiverts gain back from alone time but spend it on large groups of people, I think. Don't remember correctly, but like the more basic definition is just, do you gain energy from being with or without people? And I would always have classed myself as an extrovert, but a really, really bad one. Because, I don't know, the standard questions you get about extroversion are, what would this person do at a party? Like, kind of, are you the centre of attention at a party? Or it's always in this particular circumstance, how would you react? And in my experience, that's almost never really the case. I tend to find those, I almost invariably answer not really to. I tend to be, I guess the interesting thing is I tend to be introverted of action, but like extroverted internally. Like I do feel like I gain energy from being with people, from interacting with people. I very much enjoy it. I feel I get stuff out of it, and I feel it can be something that charges me up. However, I feel I'm bad at putting myself in those situations, which is an interesting bit of a parallel, or dichotomy. It's not a brilliant one of gaining energy from being with people and also having a habit of not doing that. But that's what I would always have said if someone asked me that's an acting. So I was kind of like, yeah, I always come up as introvert on those tests because they're always asking about kind of specific circumstances. But in my day-to-day life and with my experience with friendship groups, etc., or my experience in particular with having like a very, very large, like a freakishly large friendship group in secondary school, we, for some reason, in a turn of events and a freak of nature that has not been understood to this day, we managed to get a friendship group in a year of like probably 240 people. We managed to get probably 60 nerds in one friendship group, which is quite impressive, given that normally we're meant to be the introverted ones and the ones who are bad at forming large friendship groups, which is, I guess, why I would typically say that, no, I don't feel like I am an introvert. But it was interesting. It's always interesting, these tests, where it's like, I always come back as introverted because they don't go off of the basic definition of introversion/extroversion. They go about how a person acts due to fulfilling or not fulfilling that definition. And it's an interesting little difference. Like, obviously, I suspect most people, if if you do get energy from something, eventually you'll get better. You'll have a tendency to do more of that, and you'll get better and better at it. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the case. So, yeah, little thing about those tests. But anyway, I recently kind of began to question that. I kind of began to feel like, actually, maybe I am just an introvert. Cause, like, I'm getting home from working, and like quite a few days I will have something on. But there will be days where I'll just be like, no, I don't have anything on, let's just sit at home. And like the days when I did have something on, that would rarely be more than 1 or 2 people. And the days when I didn't have something on, well, that would just be me resting and recuperating at home. And that was an interesting state, because that's borderline the definition of an introvert there. And it was kind of like, okay, maybe I've just been wrong this whole time, but I've really never thought of myself as being introvert. It's a little bit strange. And then I began to realise, oh, okay, slight note on what just happened there. You'll notice the clicking assembly, clicking the X, because obviously Venture League is better, clicking Venture League, but assembly went up again. And then having to exit and do assembly again, and doing Venture again. A little bit interesting. But yeah. So it's an interesting position, and what I realised was, by the end of it, was, so yeah, I was doing this and I was feeling very tired, stuff like that, and yeah, I found it, I don't know, in theory, I certainly didn't feel like I was going to gain energy from going out and meeting people and doing stuff with people, but conversely, I seemed to be very, very low on energy. And so it's kind of like, well, that's a bit of a nice little faction gear by Adventure Vitality Vial, presumably. Sell the extra stuff, that's good. I'm going to get we are going to get a Vitality Vial. Last time I did that, I nearly bought it, or I nearly tried to buy a bag of Red Mansion. Unfortunately, you don't hit enough to buy it by that stage, because that would just be gambling for no reason. Well, you can argue everyone's for no reason. There is the Flash Bulb. Everlasting item stuns enemies. Arguably, that's a reason for going for Wishing Wells, because Wishing Wells can get you the Amber Gems you need for that achievement. But yes, so this was an interesting position. I was kind of feeling tired, but feeling like, well, I was already doing the most I could possibly do. Like, I wasn't interacting with anyone. Like, I couldn't do much more to feel less tired. And, okay, given the context of me saying that I'm typically extroverted, and that I've been acting like an introvert and still feeling like I was low on energy, yeah, okay, maybe the answer's quite obvious. But the thing is, it wasn't for me, and this is not the first time that's happened. Typically, whenever I'm busy, I tend to, like, whenever I have a lot to do and I feel like I need to be working, I tend to kind of go into my shell. I tend to not be as good at putting in the effort of, like, going and just talking to people and having a chat. And I'll tend to do that less and less, and will tend to just prioritise the work, just to get it done. The only issue is, of course, that as I do that, I get less and less energy. So, here's a little bit of a question. Why do I then, at the end of the day working, when I've worn myself out and I'm low on energy, why don't I try and organise something? And from my perspective, I guess it's because, or why do I just sit on my own? And from my perspective, I guess it's a case of feeling like, well, I've got to do, I don't know. I love physics, but I wouldn't say it's always fulfilling. I'd say solving a problem is hugely, hugely fulfilling. Coming up with a clever idea is amazingly fulfilling. But just doing physics on its own, the day-to-day stuff, isn't necessarily hugely fulfilling. And I feel like maybe when I get home, I want to do something. I want to do something that I feel is like a challenge and something I can kind of succeed in, like hypothetically a hardcore U run. But that doesn't necessarily... Or is that necessarily the most fulfilling? It seems in the instant like it might be the most fulfilling, and it's kind of the same thing in more general cases. So not just with physics work, but like I've had, well, I guess there's still physics work, but not just with this internship. I've had this in the past during term time, where it's kind of actually there was one point where myself and my one friend, we basically both just simultaneously, we'd been spending like pretty much every day up to that point talking to one another for like a couple of hours in the evening, and then more or less at the same time we both just retreated into our shells and just had heads down working, and neither of us were as happy for it, and neither of us really had as much energy, and we're both like at the end, yeah, that was a bad decision, we shouldn't have done that. That should not have been the way of coping with being really busy, because that doesn't work. However, I think that's the interesting point. I think there's this tendency of being in a position where you feel like, okay, for whatever reason, you're putting a lot of work into something. I think this is the reason why it tends to correlate with times of feeling busy, because quite often, if you're doing something 24/7, or if you've got your time completely booked up, your time completely scheduled, well, you're going to feel... You're obviously not going to be doing something fulfilling, or I think it's highly unlikely that you'll be doing something fulfilling with 100% of that time. Even if you have a job that may in principle be 100% fulfilling, not all of your time is going to be spent doing something that is. I would postulate. And so I think you're going to normally end up in a position of, at the end of the... I don't think you can have something that's fulfilling indefinitely, and I'd argue perhaps it's just a case of humans acclimatise. So maybe even if you did find your job fulfilling to begin with, you'd need to keep changing it in order to keep finding it fulfilling, because, well, once you do something time and time again, it becomes routine, I would argue. And so even if it is fundamentally quite a fulfilling thing, I think it's quite hard to get that fix, as it were, of fulfillment. And then this comes back to stuff I've already said previously about purpose, and about fulfillment, and stuff like that, which I find interesting, and I've been thinking more and more about recently. And I think one thing to note is that even though I think at the end of a day, I normally like to have some sense of fulfillment. And if I don't have some sense of fulfillment by the end of the day, I'm going to do something that I hope will give me that somehow. And if I get that wrong, well, things get pushed later and later. And that's why I find I have a tendency to end up, especially on these times when I'm really tired and I'm putting a lot of work in, those are also exactly the times I tend to find myself staying up really, really late. I think because I'm just, I guess, not feeling kind of fulfilled, happy, ready for bed at some point, and like, oh, just do one more thing. I'll just watch this one more video. And obviously, watching an extra video on YouTube is probably not going to lead to fulfillment for the day. I mean, it might do if it's a particularly informative video with a cool idea. Maybe I'll expand my mind. But let's face it, at midnight, those aren't the kinds of YouTube videos I'm watching. I'm watching random gaming videos or whatever. I'll be watching a Super Mario Maker video, or Super Mario Maker 2, I guess, or BTD6 video. Despite having neither game, I was a big fan of BTD5, but never played BTD6. But anyway, yeah, I think I thought it was something interesting to bring up, and it's something that I'm having to kind of work on, which is noting that a lot of the time, even when I feel like I'm too busy to do it. Like there are definitely this is the issue, right? So there are going to be times when I'm way too busy to interact with people. I think that's realistic. Any job there are going to be, whatever you do, there are going to, or not even jobs, just whatever you do in life, there will be peaks and troughs of busyness. Like nothing's ever going to be like perfectly flat in that regard. But it's still okay. I'm just gonna make the obligatory comment on the game, but I mean it's still a standard route. Done Pet Cove. Oh, now I'm not doing anything. Yeah, done Pet Cove. Going to Nexus Tower. Classic manoeuvre there. Eventually, so we'll go there first. Picking up coins, that's good. One good reason for doing Nexus Tower and not just going straight to Olivia Nightshade is that you can pick up lots of coins, which are useful for sprint shoes. But yeah, so yeah, it's something. I'm just hearing someone utterly, I don't know, murdering something in the other room by the sound of it, crushing it to death. But yeah, it's a really hard thing, I think, because there are going to be times when you have a deadline, and you need to work for that deadline, and you don't have the time to spend time talking to friends. And I think most friendships should be able to weather that. I don't think that's a terrible thing. I think, yeah, if a friendship does need you to spend 24/7 interacting on it, it's possibly not a great friendship, nice jump. But conversely, I mean, it's obviously not great to just entirely give up on kind of friendships and stop interacting with people for long periods of time, because if you do it for long enough, well, then the friendship will kind of... it has the risk of fizzling out. Just going the wrong way there, we'll have to see it. But yeah, I don't know where to draw that line. Where to draw the line of saying, okay, I will, like, this is where I have enough time to do, because, like, I'm always going to, I think, push myself to and make my life particularly difficult in whatever job I do. I hope I will learn not to, but especially, as mentioned before, if one cares about a job, one will probably stress oneself out over it and will probably do a lot. But I guess the question is, like, so even if there aren't any, like, strict deadlines, it's still kind of like, I should get more done, or I should be working towards this. And I don't know precisely with other professions, but I know with science, that's a slippery slope, because you'll never be done. And, like, there aren't as clear markers for saying, okay, this idea was successful. So, for instance, I wrote a conference abstract the other day, sent that out, but at the same time, literally, minutes after I sent it out, I was thinking, okay, should I be working on this paper based on the same idea? And it was just like, straight after having had that little bit of success, it's like, no, I've got to start working on something else. And yeah, it's something I find difficult to know. Okay, so noting selling Nexus 4 seeding kits just because they don't stack with cherries and you can't buy Nexus 4 seeding kits as many places. Going for the Notion Potion, which is a little bit of an interesting take. I guess there's no point going for the Super Notion Potion because we won't have 20 imagination. But the Notion Potion for only 6. Interesting take. Glad we're going for more strong Notion Potions. 5 Spring Shoes, that is one for the crate that Rad Eccles asks you to knock down. That's 2 for the Out of Bounds in Forbidden Valley, 2 for the Out of Bounds in Gnarled Forest. So nice. So yeah, I'm really interested to hear what everyone's thoughts are on at what point do you say, okay, yes, it's going to take time out of one's life to talk to people, but it's something that's worth doing for energy? Because this is what happened. It was midnight on one of the days, and I had like the most wholesome conversation I had in ages with someone I bumped into in my kitchen, because we were both like, yes, it is midnight. Snack time. And I guess, again, discussing purpose and fulfillment from an evolutionary perspective, eating food is a great way of getting some quick fulfillment, because like evolution will always reward you for eating some food, which I guess isn't brilliant from an overeating perspective, and maybe the reason why overeating is sometimes correlated with mental health issues. Obviously not always, but is definitely a thing that has been often noted as being correlated with depression. Although interestingly, also so has undereating. I guess for two different reasons. One is for a case of, I don't know, maybe just deprioritise it, because I don't directly think that depression and anorexia are linked, but I think maybe the idea of punishing oneself by not eating, perhaps, or just not spending as much time thinking about oneself, or like caring for oneself as a symptom of depression, maybe lead to undereating. But anyway, that aside, general notes. But the midnight snack idea as being a function of, I think, well, for myself certainly, it can quite often be a function of, hey, I don't feel exactly content and happy and ready for bed, and you're going directly towards a wall. I don't feel content, happy, ready for bed. What can I do about that? Let's see. Let's eat something, because it's a good way of doing it. It's a good way of getting some quick fulfillment, I guess. For better or for worse, as mentioned. Gonna go for this jump. Gonna make it. It's nice to know that jump works. But yeah, so it's. Yeah, so for me, it becomes the and so I read something. It was like, actually, that gave me a bit of a boost. Just meeting someone new, so I hadn't talked to, having a nice conversation, really wholesome conversation. It was like, oh yes, no, wait a second. This reminds me that I guess that was kind of the only way I was going to remind myself that, hey, talking to people is a good way of getting energy and feeling good about oneself, and arguably for finding some degree of purpose and ergo fulfillment in one's day. I guess that wouldn't have happened really necessarily with, I don't know, I feel like it's different having it happen spontaneously versus having had someone else organise it. Because potentially there's the risk, if someone else has organised it, that it becomes in one's mind something that one has to do when one should be working. And that kind of taints it. Whereas this, it was completely unexpected. It was at a time when I was definitely doing nothing. And it was just like, yeah, this is good. This is fun. And we've got the flashing numbers up on the screen. This was recorded in OBS. And it was something I found really helpful, and it was like, reminded me, hey, no, I do enjoy doing random stuff with people. Let's get together with some friends this weekend. Let's do frisbee, etc., and stuff like that. And it was like, hey, it reminds me to snap out of this whole thing of just, hey, yeah, let's sit here and just work. And I think it was a reminder I really needed. But the question is, when should that reminder come? Because I know there have been times when I would be sitting working and really tired, and I would not have been ready. Or like, no, not sitting working and being really tired. That's, I guess, the false dichotomy there. It's not about being tired, for me at least. It's about, I guess it's a question of just really working out what time do I need to spend on this particular thing. What time do I need to spend on this particular thing, and what time can I spare? And if there's time I don't actually need to be spending working on it, really grinding it out, then I should make sure to be spending that time, or at least some of that time, doing stuff with friends. I guess maybe that's the line to draw. I'm really interested in knowing what people think and how people balance this in their own lives. Because it's something that I very much haven't worked out. And I guess it very much also depends what kind of interaction one will be having. So I guess certain interactions are like certain types of conversations you might have with someone can be more meaningful than others. Or can, I guess, contribute to a development in the relationship more than others. And I think that's really important because, of course, as I've discussed tons previously, there is a nice speed strats there. As discussed previously, there is an evolutionary benefit to interacting with people, to building relationships with people, and therefore it does make sense that anything that is going to result in a relationship being built up / move forward, that's always going to be of benefit evolutionarily, because, well, it signals someone else trusts you and will help feed you if times get tough. Just from an evolutionary perspective, obviously I'm not suggesting that that's necessarily true nowadays, but I'm not suggesting it's necessarily not true nowadays. I think if I were tired, sick and sad enough, I think I could probably persuade a friend to help me. Actually, I say this jokingly, but then I remember that actually, not necessarily out of being tired and sick, but I did have a friend get me, very, very kindly get me groceries during when I was a little bit. Oh, nice jump. Hey, nice recovery. Hey, nice fail. When I was locked down with my neighbour caught COVID. So I guess technically that it's not merely an evolutionary metaphor, it has in fact actually occurred. Take 2. It's probably faster just to get the thing at this stage, but you've got to get the pro gamer points, that's fair enough. This jump always feels weird to me, because I swear there's no way of getting it that doesn't require a Quixsicle. Like, that was a relatively tight jump, even with a Quixsicle. All trying to do clever strats there, realising the timing's not there. Camera clipping through the wall slightly. Classic move. Oh, a little bit of lag. I expect not an amazing time not to get lag. You don't exactly want it there. And you going past that terminal screen there, which is always a little bit of a bait, because I always think, surely there's got to be something I do there for whatever reason, and then there never is. I don't know if maybe there's a mission there later, but I haven't seen it. I haven't done it yet, if there is. And finally completing the mission we started. So I don't know. Something I need to work out. At some point myself is just because I think going into a job, especially if I do go into physics, it's going to be that's going to be something I need to work out. And honestly, I'm quite glad I did this, because it's given me a far more realistic sense of what physics is. Because for me, previously, working in a physics research group was in my head like doing physics as I normally do. Except I don't necessarily have to have hit upon the perfect idea myself, because, hey, there are other people in the research group, and so the idea is just, as a research group, we make progress rather than as individuals, and it kind of spreads the risk, because obviously most ideas probably are not going to work. Just as a general rule, most of the easy ideas have been taken, so most of the time, most of the ideas you come up with aren't going to work in science. And therefore, Therefore, it's an inherently risky business as an individual, so it makes sense to do it as a group and to kind of spread the risk. And that was kind of, I don't know, that was how I felt research was kind of going to be, I don't know, kind of just like what I was doing already at home, but without the kind of feeling of, oh, if I fail, then that is on me personally. I don't know, it feels different. I don't know, I haven't worked it out yet, but it isn't 100% what I expect it to be, which is why it's then really good to do this. And I think I don't know, it seems inertia is likely to carry me. It's likely to carry me in that path, and at the very least, I'm sure, probably onto a PhD. Because it's like that is just for the fact that, hey, that's the thing I always had planned, and my plans probably won't change that much. But yeah, it's going to be something that I need to work out how to handle. There we are, nice going. I mean, didn't manage to die in Nexus Tower. That's 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, didn't die in Nexus Tower. Yeah, discussion with Worthy Sleep Mustache in the comment section underneath one of my videos the other day, which was about dying in, which is about the fact that I've managed to die now in a couple of really, really bad places. I don't think I've yet died in Nimbus Station. There's one place where I can definitely see myself dying, which is if I try and go for one trick jump by... or I could just, or I could die there, trying to get slope speed. What did you get? The slope speed. What did it cost the run? Yeah, I don't think I've failed a run yet in Nimbus Station. I have failed runs though in pretty much everywhere else. Failed loads in Avant Gardens. Failed a couple almost certainly in Block Yard. Spider Queen Battle, obviously. Pets Cove, I have failed. I think just the two. The two to trying to get the Imagination Brick, I want to say. Those are the only two I failed there. But yeah, it was discussing the fact that I'd managed to fail once in Pet Cove. I know I've done a really bad, really stupid death in one other run recently, but I don't remember what it was. I'm sure someone can remind me of what one is. Oh yeah, and then there's the Venture Explorer run. That's not that really bad, really stupid one. Because honestly, yeah, I was trying to see if I could simultaneously get a VE speedrun attempt and a Hardcore LU attempt in the same thing, because I do enough VE runs for Hardcore LU. Might as well try and do them quickly. And also, VE is the best place to lose a Hardcore LU run because you have wasted the least time on it. The Hardcore LU run, that is. So here we go, stocking up on hardtack biscuits. It's a nice move. It's a good move. Because now they're implemented in DLU. Honestly, I would say they are better than barbecue chicken wings. They have downsides, but the upside is they've got this brilliant uptime. And yeah, I'm currently on 5 health with one of those. I get up to 7 health for pretty much the entirety of the 120 seconds. The only issue is you need to combine it with a consumable to increase your health, because to restore your health, because otherwise you have 7 max health, but you don't actually get any health back with those, compared to the barbecue barbecue chicken wings, where it restores your health by 10, and increases your max health by 5 simultaneously. But the issue of those is they don't last as long. So, honestly, I prefer... Like, I feel with those, if I were to try and do something, I have to be quite careful with my timing. Whereas, yeah, with these, I feel like with a hardtack biscuit, I can just go. Ooh, getting a little bit of inventory reorganisation. Moving the hardtack biscuits higher up next to the health items. I mean, that's a very good move. That makes sense. Makes sense to do. Ah, yes. Though, despite the multiple rounds of selling, in which you never bought a Nexus Force healing, the Nexus Force healing kits you need for the Spider Queen, also never sold the armor polish. 10 out of 10. So now we Maelstrom trench it up. Don't really need to complete these missions. Yeah, so that's the nice thing at the moment, is the fact we are going to want to complete these missions in a hardcore LU run at some point. However, the lovely bit is that they are not urgent. And that smashed none of them. So they're all out of range. Speaking of not quite making it, that was a little bit risky there, because the Admiral could have hit me. Sorry, could have hit this player. Don't know who this player is. And again, a little bit risky with the pirates there. And then having to retreat anyway, meaning that they all regen their health. Okay, going for the... Yes, so this is where I lost a previous run to. So glad to see going for the hardtack biscuit and health approach. Arguably unnecessary, but too many runs are lost to apes because they one-hit kill you, and they're a little bit unpredictable. Like, okay, you always know exactly what attack they're going to do, but you never know exactly when and where they're going to throw a boulder. So the aim of coming to Gnarled Forest, for those who don't know, is to get heart flags primarily. Obviously, there are missions you can do, but the idea in Hardcore U is more or less you want to get yourself as OP as you possibly can, as quickly as you possibly can. This is a little bit of a risk going in there, but pays off. Yeah. You basically want to do everything you can, everything in your power, to get your character as powerful as possible using consumables, and using things that are permanent. So, the permanent things being health flags, and there are a limited number of health flags that are obtainable in the game. Or certainly in single player in the game. Trying to get both of them instead. Not ideal, but yes, that was where it was intended to go, I'm sure. Obviously I wouldn't know because this isn't me, but so yeah, Stroming Admirals have they regen there. Stroming Admirals have 18 health, I think. And I seem to remember a chest deals 15 damage to things nearby it. So you need to have both... I know they have... Oh, that was a bit close. I know they have more than 15 health because it takes a firecracker and a chest to smash them. A chest on its own will not. I don't know how much more than 15 health they have, though. Regardless, we got them. Sorry, this person got them. And we've got 2 anchors as well, which is enough to go to Duke Exeter. Brilliant. So, now the main challenge is, okay, how do we go and get how can we go about getting heart flags? At this point, not certain what's going on, because I thought the plan was to get a heart flag. Instead, we're going for an imagination point from feeding all the prisoners. Then going down, considering getting bananas, seemingly deciding against it. So there is an issue, at this point, I can't be bothered to pretend to do the commentary pretense anymore. It was effort and utterly pointless for like no comedic value whatsoever. Yeah, one of the nice positioning of the banana server, thank you. And again. Oh, pro gamer skills there. Yeah, forget what I was going to say. So, because I got too distracted by this. So yeah, the aim. The aim with coming to Gnarled Forest is primarily heart flags, and to get the heart flags, you need to get past the Stromling Ape, because there is one heart flag past that area, and also whilst you're there, you might as well tame a pet. And further, it's not the only reason you need to go there, because that also lets you get the pirate hook, and the pirate hook lets you get into the the race area, the Keelhaul Canyon race area. I forget what the name of it is, but more or less it lets you get there. And there's a hot flag there, so you need to go there for that. There we are, we can actually pick this up. Hands in that mission. So it's never a huge thing about getting imagination, because there's not a ton of stuff you can do with imagination. I mean, it lets you tame pets, which is quite nice. Nice. But yeah, it's imagination points. This is just kind of a cheap way of doing it, and it gets you a fair amount of use score. But imagination bricks on their own aren't really worth it. But yeah, so the issue is getting past the Stromling Ape. And the question is how you do it, and there are two ways of going about it. One of them is with an out-of-bounds clip, and the issue is at this stage I don't remember how to do the out-of-bounds clip. Specifically, what happened was last time I attempted this, I managed to get myself stuck out of bounds, which wasn't ideal. And so the question now is, okay, yeah, that punch was me tabbing out to go and look at my own YouTube video to try and work out how to do this. The best part of that was that it turns out in the video where I demonstrate the, I don't know what I say, hardcore viable ape skip, I think, or safe ape skip, something like that. I demonstrate getting onto the trees, and then I cut the video directly after that. I don't know if I've actually anywhere shown a video of climbing along the trees past the ape. It is possible. There is a way you can go to get past it, but it's not trivial, it's not easy, and the last couple of times I've attempted this in an actual, I think every time I attempted this in an actual run up to this point, I got trapped out of bounds. Which, not brilliant. Not brilliant, not exactly what I'm aiming for. So yeah, was taking a look at how to do this. Still watching the video apparently. Apparently it's a long video. Well, it's not that long a video, it's about a 30-second video. But evidently it took a little bit of time to get up. Yeah, so that's the first part of the challenge. One other part of the challenge is muscle memory. Because there are two very, very, very different types of spring jumps you can do. And unfortunately, they are both entirely a function of what weapon it is you are holding at the time. So, there's a little bit of foreshadowing for you. See, lining myself up, I'm aiming for that slightly lower tree there, which is the correct spot to aim for. Don't know what went wrong with that one, honestly. I think I wasn't really prepared and was thinking too hard about it, and just wasn't spamming 5. Which is a bit of an issue, because there was time when the spring shoes were off cooldown, but I wasn't using them. So, That's a waste of 1,000. I now have to go back to Nexus Tower at some point. Even if I make this, I know I have to go back to Nexus Tower, which is a bit of a shame. I re-equip them. I remember why I re-equipped them. Ooh, and there we are. There's the second thing that can go wrong. That's the muscle memory kicking in. So the muscle memory being like, okay, now I know how to do spring jumps. Let's just do a spring jump. Unfortunately, most of my practice for spring jumps, certainly recently as well, has been holding a spear. Can't do that in Hardcore LU. Not allowed to hold items. Fortunately, that meant I failed after only one spring shoe usage, which means we do still have enough for one final attempt. And so yeah, the strategy differs depending on what weapon you're holding. If you're not holding anything, you simply want to... Ooh, you don't want to fall down there. And yeah, that's not great. Yeah, the strategy varies depending on what weapon you're holding. For a spear, you more or less want to be spamming 5 and Alt. There is like a particular time when you want to swap which one you're spamming, but it's more or less standard, more or less boring. And I am trapped out of bounds and so annoyed because I made the jump, but I still got myself trapped out of bounds anyway. And trying to do whatever I can to avoid resetting the run. So you can see, yeah, there's a potential area that, like, maybe, but honestly, no. That's not standable, and there are currently no known glitches to let you stand on a non-standable bit of terrain. Clever little trick here. So that tree does have physics, as does this wall. Neither of them are standable, but they are close enough together that you can wedge yourself between them. Good idea. Unfortunately, don't have enough height. I think I'd probably go back and try it a few more times. But yeah, there's nowhere near enough height to actually manage that. Just not high enough. And so, yeah. So we're stuck. Rip run. And it was at this point this run kind of just became a research run. Because, yeah, you can't go down further that way. And all of these walls are way, way, way too sheer to climb. Believe me, I tried. So yeah, you cannot make your way down in that direction. However, I did kind of lie. You can continue making your way in this direction, and previously, the last time I got myself trapped out of bounds, I was in an area where I couldn't manage this. But yeah, you can keep going in this direction. And in fact, I think I ended up discovering a route that I could have used to recover no matter where I actually fell out of bounds, which is nice. So, I end up here. This jump tormented me for a little while. So yeah, I get it more or less first time there, which is lucky because otherwise I wouldn't have known this was standable. And yeah, I'm now going to try and climb up onto this, because that's the area where I would have, on that ridge, if I make this jump, that's the area where I would have been, where I would have tried to get, had this all worked out. So if I can just make it back up there, I'm safe, and the run's safe, and I can continue going. However, a little bit tough. And that slope's not standable. I'm amazed I only tried twice, but yeah, that slope isn't. It's a lot easier to see that in retrospect. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. Now, gotta try and get back to where I was, which is a little bit problematic, given, well, yeah, the game spawns stuff in and out as you go. Some of this stuff does have physics, and so some of it will push you back like the second you go there. Fortunately, that wasn't too hard to get past. This doesn't have any physics, this is all visual. There's just a random hole in the ground there. I don't know what that is, but I suspect if you fell in it, you may well be soft-locked. I mean, not soft-locked, you can always turn this off. I have previously attempted making this jump, and the stuff spawns in quickly enough. It's quite hard to clip yourself back in bounds here. And hey, we're back here again. For what it's worth, I think that actually how quickly it spawns back in is a function of which server you're on and how fast the server is, and as such, it wouldn't really be an allowable speedrunning glitch anyway, because it does rely on the server being behind. I'm not 100% certain on exactly how it's implemented. I think it's something along those lines. I'm interested in finding out. So now it's just a question of, okay, how far up can I go? I now know that if I do slip off this, I need to do a fair amount of work to get back to where I am, so I don't really want to. I'd far prefer to slip down that side than slip down the other side. But the issue is, if I try jumping somewhere randomly, well, ground pound cancelling only works if the slope is stanceable. Well, not ground pound cancelling, sorry. Ground pounding to stop your momentum only works if the slope you were on was stanceable anyway. Doesn't help otherwise. So I'm a little bit stuck here. However, there is, you may or may not have noticed, a little saddle point over around the corner, which I'm going to try and aim for now. See, I was very, very close there. And, yeah. So this seems like quite a plausible strategy. I opted initially to start a little bit further back for the sake of getting extra height, but then realised starting close is probably more worthwhile. And so started seeing, okay, I doubt I can get up this thing, but let's see how close I can get for the sake of starting further with the Quixocle. However, that's not all there is to it. I think at this stage I then decided, no, let's just try and do it straight. But there's another issue, which is that not all standable points of terrain are equal. Some of them are more standable than others. Specifically, what I mean, nice save there. Specifically, what I mean is the fact that quite often you want to be able to get momentum up, especially for a difficult jump. You want to be able to get a little bit of speed up. So I'm going to try going around the left this time because that's where the standable stuff is, and I'm so close, but not close enough. And so instead, I decide, well, I know it's going to be a rather long trek back, so let's go exploring. I've been here before, after having got myself stuck out of bounds, I seem to remember. Managed this. And again, I could try and running jump in here. However, I really, really don't trust it, and yeah, that's exactly why I don't trust it. Stuff comes in way, way too quickly. So I need to get up a little bit of speed. I need to somehow have the server think I'm not as close to being inbound as I am. And so my idea was to just start as high as I could. Or maybe not quite as high as I could, but quite high and as high and close to being in, I guess I could at once. Get a little bit of a run up. And you see, I didn't beat it. I didn't beat the stuff. I then run up here for some reason, right back, and I didn't beat the stuff spawning in. Fortunately, I was just higher than it, which was lucky, because otherwise I would have been trapped. Fortunately, the stuff that was spawning in there was trees, and thus the run was saved. So then, everything's easy from here on out, right? We just need to do one thing. We just need to go and get the hat, which will let me spawn back in. So, firstly, what my main priority is to get cannonballs, because I need to get cannonballs in order to get access to the cannon cove, or to the shooting gallery. I need to get access. Yeah, I need to get 5 cannonballs to get access to the shooting gallery, and well, in order to get those 5 cannonballs, I need to smash 5 of these things. These are designed to only be able to be smashed by a ranged weapon. However, that is not the case. I have gotten significantly worse at smashing these since the last time I did it. Didn't realise that, but yeah, I really have. Turns out you don't want to do what I was doing, which was start jumping as far back as possible. And the reason you don't want to do that is because the physics on that are slightly interesting. And specifically, there's a little bit of a dent And basically, there's something going on there which basically slope speeds you off a little bit in one direction, and it's really, really annoying. And so it ends up being a case of, no, just start wherever, jump relatively quickly. I think, honestly, just starting near the very front of it works quite well. We'll probably discover this in 1 second. I now am like, yeah, no, let's... Oh, apologies. That's my earphone. I then like, yeah, okay, let's do this the easy way. Let's just try one of these firecrackers. And you saw my hand glowed afterwards, but, nothing happened. Yeah, I checked because I noticed my hand glowing last time, so I check it this time, yeah. Don't know why it doesn't spawn in. I suspect it probably checks whether or not there's, like, room nearby you before spawning in, but, don't know exactly what condition it is. I haven't looked into how they work. I should do that at some point. Just to get a bit of a better sense. But yeah, so the plan is now to get these, which means I can get to the shooting gallery, which means I can in turn get a pirate's hook, which means I can get the final heart flag. So I get here. I then run off because I'm an idiot. I then run back to shooting gallery. Oh, I knew I had Cannon Cove in my head from somewhere. That is just the name of the place shooting gallery is set. Good to know. In DLU this is implemented, but that's fine because Cannon Cove, to my knowledge, you don't die. Therefore, you wouldn't lose the hardcore you run there anyway, which is quite nice. So yeah, that's a little bit of safe stuff, and we've now got the pirate's hook, which is brilliant. So we can more or less leave now, unless of course you have a little bit of foresight and you notice what was in the top left of my screen. If you didn't, then you were like me, and yeah, I didn't notice that. I guess it's probably technically more or less in view now, or at least the area where it is, it's more or less in view. Yeah, for those who don't know, there's a heart flag in that corner over there. It's not my screen at the moment, it was on my screen a minute ago, just sitting there quite calmly. I am running around thinking there's not much more I have to do here, is there? I just need to get that right. Let's pick up some missions whilst we're here, that's fine. And then let's head off, let's give ourselves a hardtack biscuit, let's get a power-up or two, and let's go for the imagination brick. I want to do that because there's always a non-zero chance that the ape will hit you. I've had it happen, and I don't know exactly what determines whether or not it will happen. But the one way of guaranteeing that it won't happen is if I spend money on protecting myself, and that was really, really awful. I consider whether or not I can make that jump, and then decide it's not worth it. And because if I do fall down there, I think there are admirals down there, and I would be out of control in a corner with admirals coming at me from the other direction. That would be a huge risk. So yeah, note, at no point do I have the pirate hook equipped here. Because I figured this was a thing worth... I even showed that, yeah. Figured that was something worth showing, worth mentioning, is that, yeah, the pirate hook is never equipped. So I mean drinking, because whichever part of me decided post-commentary was a good idea was an idiot. I need to remember to have my mic on in future. I spent time trying to set myself up for that jump, don't know why. I also think there's something back there. There isn't. The only thing that has ever been back there, okay, there's technically that skeleton dragon pet dig bone, but the only thing that's ever been back there aside from that's actually been in there is the Out of Bounds clip, which I must admit was a very, very atmospheric place for an Out of Bounds clip. I did quite like that. Oh, that's interesting. I've only got 7 health, but I just picked up the last heart flag. Where's the remaining heart flag? Oh no. Oh no, I know where it is. It was back in the camp. The camp that I can't get back to. I would have been able to get back there had I done the mission involved collecting 10 cannonballs. But unfortunately, I had seen how badly I was doing with the Quixocle jump, and decided it wasn't worth doing that. So I didn't even have the hat, which meant I couldn't even get a rocket out and get a rocket back. A little bit problematic. So at this stage, I decide, let's cut my losses. Let's just head out. I guess I'll do Forbidden Valley. I got the anchors. The anchors were one of the main reasons to come. That would help get me to Crux Prime. There's an ape here. Let's actually be careful. Not being hugely careful, which I guess could have ended the run. I think I happened to be close enough to trigger the ape into the attack animation a little bit earlier, but not close enough to be hit. Not certain, but that seems to be what happened because it was already rearing. And yeah. So I go out. There is a way of going past the Stroming Ape without spring shoes, because yes, no time now out of spring shoes. I now have no spring shoes left. There's a way of getting past the Stroming Ape. However, it's risky, and this is quite a good run so far. And I've also never done it just using hardtack biscuits. I've only ever done it using barbecue chicken wings. However, here we find a bit of good luck. Good luck in the form of a potion of shielding. Potions of shielding protect the player from 10 damage for 60 seconds, I think it is. I don't remember the exact stats, it's definitely 10 damage. An ape's attack, each attack does 5 damage. Now, trying to get past the ape is really difficult because it requires you to do one of two things. It requires you to either fight the ape, which is possible, but it's tedious, and anything which is tedious around a dangerous enemy becomes very risky in Hardcore OU. So it requires you to either fight the ape or to manage to build a 4 imagination quick build, which isn't a huge amount of imagination, whilst the ape is still there. And in particular, that quick build is something that does fix the player's position. It does push you in the direction. I'm just going to run straight past it, apparently, with my heart in my throat. It does push you in the direction, to a particular point to build the quick build, which is unfortunately directly in the way of the Stroming Ape. And the quick build timeout isn't such that you can just quickly build one imagination, go off, quickly build another imagination. And what's more, the camera movement starts off pretty quickly and keeps you in place even once you've stopped building for a second. So you basically get stun locked near an ape. Now, this ape deals 5 damage with each attack. However, that's not all. So it's not like you would just get hit by one attack and would be safe. Okay, nice bit of good conserving of healing items there by smashing that first. Okay, so I power up and get ready to use the potion of shielding. Don't use it quite yet. So the issue is that the ape has multiple attacks that currently on DLU it will use simultaneously. And there's no guarantee, certainly if apes are anything like admirals, I do not trust that especially given there's a wall there, that it won't hit me multiple times. And with the ground pound attack. And even if it doesn't hit me multiple times with the ground pound attack, it might hit me once with the ground pound attack, and once directly afterwards by using the... it might hit me once directly afterwards with the boulder, which would be 10 damage. If I only have 7 health, it's risky. You can time it. I've done it before where you time it, but I've never done it in a run. It's always been a little bit too risky for me to want to attempt. It's doable, but it's risky. And you also saw me notice there the thing I mentioned earlier, which is, hey, if I had the hat, then I could have come here anyway. The only issue is the hat. You need to do stuff with Quickscalls for it. At this point, I'm more or less realising, hey, yeah, getting that hat would be a pretty good investment because it allows me to come back here at any point. There's not too much that's useful here. I guess once boom trap kits are implemented, they'll be quite useful. Or I can imagine them being quite useful, because previously that was something you wanted to stock up on lots of because you'd need it to clip back here. Unfortunately, that clip no longer works, and so there's no reliable way of getting back here without that out of bounds clip that I was looking at earlier. And hey, here I'm noticing I'm going to need to do 10 of these well, not 10 of these in a row, but I'm going to need to do quite a few of these. Let's work out where to stand. And yeah, you more or less just want to stand somewhere near the front, but it doesn't really matter that much where you stand. You just need to have your jumps timed to maintain your height as long as possible, and you want to hit in precisely the right place. Basically, you want to be aimed straight to the back of the shark, like I was there, not to the side like I was in the one before. And as long as you're doing that, as long as you've jumped pretty well, it should be easy. I don't know why I mess it up as many times as I do here. I suspect mostly because I don't remember how to do it at this stage. And note, I'm not perfectly centred when I go for this jump, so I think it's largely the centering that I'd totally forgotten. And there we are, I'll be noting my more centred run, I get it. So we're just going to have me go through a couple of these. I mean, you've probably, well, honestly, you might not have seen me do this much before. I've done this in the past, but like it's quite rare that Hardcore LU runs get this far. Typically, something goes wrong by this stage. There's no reason why it should, and so I've had lots of runs that kind of get. I've had quite a few runs that get this far, even more that get this far with like one death, but one avoidable death. That's the issue. Most deaths in Hardcore LU are entirely avoidable. The issue is, I guess, just being bored and not properly avoiding it. Because that's one of the huge risks, is that you stop paying attention fully. Okay, note I was aiming slightly to the left there, but I corrected whilst moving. Just save me there. And so at this point, yeah, you see me pointing out there, the brown pirate's hat. You then see me walk towards there, and it's at this point that I have a realisation. You know that hat that I just got? I just spent a little while getting, solely for the sake of being able to come back here quickly and easily. Don't need it, can't use it, it's a hat. It was like going and doing the Monument Foot race just for the sake of getting the speedy cap that at the time, only to realise that, wait a second, it's a speedy cap, I can't use it. There is no everlasting consumable for speed in LU. Unfortunately. There are multiple hats which give it. There are other items which give speed boosts. Yeah, the Mole Whacker hammer, I believe, does. And there's obviously Venture League stuff, although that doesn't give the same sort of speed boost, and that also has other effects going on at the same time. In terms of things that actually give you net speed boosts, that's pretty much all there is. There are other effects that, quote-unquote, make you rush forwards, or like the Witch's Broom effect, like Shield Slam, the Witch's Broom, they all basically work the same internally, and they don't actually give you any net speed, because they stun lock you for so long at the end that it's not really worth it. Try to go for the lamppost jump, and probably tired and disappointed myself enough with the amount of time I just wasted in Gnarled Forest that I don't get it. Ironically wasting slightly more time. However, here we go out, Nimbus Station, and this is the point where Ninja moves on to the stronger stuff of the night, and by that I mean milk. There we are, and at this point, I just am not doing anything. I don't know what it is I'm not doing anything for the sake of. I think maybe I received an email during that. I figured I should check it out. I probably made some comment along the lines of, for anyone who thinks they just got a message on Outlook, sorry, that was me, because that's a regular enough occurrence that I know exactly what I say when that happens. Because, let's face it, that happens at least once a stream. Well, it should only happen once a stream ever, because I normally remember to turn it off directly afterwards. And for those who don't know, I've got a thing where I always try and get through those gates without having the camera be touched by the hologram. And I have never managed to make it through. You obviously could do it just by moving the camera sideways to the left, but I've never gone quickly enough through those gates. I guess you could maybe do it with a Quixsicle. But yeah, I'm interested in knowing whether the player and / or the camera can actually get through the gates without the sweeping hologram touching them. At this stage, I'm considering getting the property scanner. I think I'm considering getting it for the sake of... Yeah, I turned back very quickly. I think the reason I was considering getting it was for the sake of seeing what happens when you do bring the... is the property scanner any different to any of the other quick builds? As in, is it possible to quip with the property scanner? There's a chance it could be, but I think I accept that it's pretty unlikely and it's a bit of a waste of time. So I don't go for it. And it is off to Forbidden Valley for us. This was where I think my last run that made it onto this quest chain ended. So the thing is, this is actually getting further and further along the quest chain, because before I go to Gnarled Forest, I want to already have Pet Cove done so I can pick up all the heart flags. However, that pushes Forbidden Valley. Like previously, my aim would be do this quest chain as quickly as possible to get access to Crux Prime as quickly as possible. The only issue was I was under-leveled by the point I reached Crux Prime. You can level up pretty quickly in Crux Prime, but that's a little bit risky, so I decided for safety to implement Pet Cove a little bit earlier, or to implement Nexus Station a bit earlier, just to gain more use score. However, if you do more than just the little bit of exploring you need to do in order to get the anchor and in order to get these items, if you do go properly exploring enough to get all the heart flags in these worlds, then you actually will find you do get enough use score. Turns out you get enough use score probably ignoring Pet Cove. Turns out use score really, really isn't an issue, but unfortunately, you do need to do Pet Cove, because otherwise, there's no point getting far enough in Gnarled Forest. Insert some comment about this being my equivalent of an XD skip for LU. Is pointless, just waste time, and is done, I guess, solely because it's funny and looks kind of cool. And something to spoil that I do everyone. I mean, I don't think it truly counts as an XD skip because there's no risk of me losing a run due to doing that. Arguably, a closer thing to an XD skip would be my when I go from Pet Cove, pick up the backpack flag just by the side of the World Builder Elite gate, and then walk back towards the Pet Cove launcher and jump over the small bit of water there. Because genuinely every time I feel like I'm so close to mucking that up and so close to dying, because you kind of slip when you hit the ground, and it's one of the most nerve-wracking things ever. That is the one reason why I think one day I will die to Nimbus Station. And that's one reason that seems quite likely. And fortunately, whilst recording, I had LU's audio off, which is brilliant because it means that I don't have to hear the noise of someone whispering in my ear. I'm sure it's great if you enjoy ASMR. It is not good if you're not expecting it. And when it's dark outside, and when you kind of are normally scared of horror movies, it's not a great combination. You know me here trying to do it quickly enough that I get to one before the others have relit. Forbidden Valley Firefighter. This gets me a potion of shielding. At this point, I begin wondering if you can actually buy. Well, no, I don't think I want that yet. I will. One of my reasons for going to Forbidden Valley is because I want to get to Kamikaze. Because Kamikaze sells some very, very useful items. In particular, the tough buff source and these potions of shielding. And so, getting there, like it's quite a large thing to do, because once I'm there, it's like, okay, I now have a source of items. Yeah, if I can make it there reliably, I can get as many tough buff potions as I want. Tough buff potions reduce the damage you take from enemies by 1 to a minimum of 1. So, if I get hit by Stromling, it will do absolutely nothing. If I get hit by, say, a Maelstrom Horseman, let's say I'm close range, let's say I've gone all the Forbidden Valley Heart Flags, so I will have, and I've gone all the Heart Flags up until this point that have been achievable. That would give me 7 HP. I would then, let's say I'm then fighting a horse person. I don't know why I said horse person, they are called horsemen in the game. Oh yeah, no time level 15. Easily. No need to even go to Crux Prime, despite the fact that Crux Prime gives you tons and tons of loot. Tons of use score. Quite a bit of loot as well. Yeah, so let's say I'm fighting a horseman. Their ranged attack, if you are close enough to be using melee attacks, when they use their ranged attack, it will deal, basically at once, 9 damage to you. That will hurt. Oh, yeah. That wasn't great. That wasn't great. There was 6 damage in one hit. Sorry, 6 damage, 3 damage in one hit. Sorry, 4 damage in one hit. That's down to a third of my health in one hit. And I then go for it a second time. It's one of the more stupid things I've done. At this point, I think I realise it's a really, really bad idea. But I'm still aggroing more and more enemies. I guess that's kind of the aim, so that ideally I take multiple out at once. Let's use that. I miss and just smash a fence. It's truly classic. So, and again, doing this, at this point I'm realising that I need to be really, really careful, because like this could end at more or less any point. I ran up there kind of expecting to have auto-aim make me hit the 3 that were nearby me, and instead it went off to one side. And at this point, I've gotten rid of loads of them, but I haven't smashed loads of them, they've just despawned. Which is quite disappointing. I managed to smash one of them, and I used like 6 firecrackers for it, I think. It's not really worth it. Don't use firecrackers for Ronin. Ronin a far better approach with the isolate and smash strategy. Get one on its own, smash it. Arguably, you can probably handle 2 on their own. Don't handle 2 on their own the way I've done in the past, which is get them to overlap and then just attack and move forwards. That can work, but oh yeah, there we are. You see me jumping back very rapidly there. Because thank you, auto-aim. What I really wanted to do there was to attack those nearby smashables. Like, I know auto-aim sometimes does slightly weird and slightly annoying things, like prioritising the wrong enemy, or maybe the auto-aim of certain items is a little bit strange. But that wasn't a particular item, those were my fists. This is when I say that one of the most jank things in LU are those fence and lantern combinations. That's why I'm not joking. Because for some reason, the hitbox on the fence is huge, and also the game seems to decide to prioritise that above everything else. Well, it's kind of strange. Don't know why it does that, but it really shouldn't, and it's kind of painful. Don't know what the point of that was. Style, maybe. Don't need to use it. Kind of a waste. But I guess we're not using them for anything else. And, like, the thing is, it's rarely worth using them for other things. very few things in LU do you need to necessarily fight with range. And especially these, they fix you in place. Firecrackers are quite dangerous to use in combat because, yes, they can let you deal 3 damage to a large number of enemies at once, but they fix you in place whilst doing so, which is kind of bad. And by kind of bad, I mean really not good. Especially if there's a risk an enemy won't get properly stunned, you need to be really careful. I like the big one, because the big one will smash or stun most things. You can be relatively safe using it, as long as you're not being spawned by enemies which are technically bosses, but can still move. That's why Spiderling invaders, or I'm assuming Maelstrom Horseman invaders, also count. I don't know if Admiral invaders do. But I guess if Spiderlings do, and I'm assuming Horsemen do, then Admirals probably do. Which means a good proportion of the stuff in Crux Prime does count as a mini-boss. And let's be clear, they count towards not the boss of me in exactly the same way as the Spider Queen does, from memory. I don't think I'm wrong there. But yeah, no, it's taking them out one at a time. I am being far more efficient when I was trying to take out many at once, and they haven't all respawned on me. That was a little bit close. What happened there was I went in with a jump kick, and the issue for jump kick is that, well, basically, I start that a little bit when I'm a little bit back. And at the point where I start it, the Dark Rodent hasn't had a chance to attack yet. So you don't actually knock them out of an attack by hitting them and by stunning them. Then they can attack, and at that point you're delayed because the jump attack, unlike your standard combination of 3 punches, the jump attack, you only have 1, and then you have to wait the whole regen time. Or the whole cooldown. Just a little bit limiting. I also noticed that some of these times I will stand a little bit back. Sometimes standing back from the enemies is worth it. You can see the other ones coming up close, so I really play it riskily there. I don't know what dealt that 2 damage to me, but I was quite lucky to survive that. Because I was already down by 2 damage, and I'd already seen that I couldn't trust the firecrackers to save me. So I don't know how I expected that to turn out. I'm quite lucky I survived that. Not something I should do. I should genuinely probably just not buy firecrackers at this stage, because I don't and I shouldn't use them. I use them on the Admirals, but the Admirals I could take down easily without them. I just need to isolate one on its own, which is a little bit more time consuming, but not implicitly difficult. Bit of a lag spike there, not certain what's going on. Oh yeah, I was. That was the point where I was an idiot and tapped out. Which I really should have gone myself into a safe spot before doing, and that's a little bit disappointing. It just despawned, and then I presume that was the same statue that respawned, so it's like, great. I was midway through fighting, you just disappeared. Well, we're fairly close to where we want to be, and that was a very dangerous point. I should have run off there. Well, I don't know if I should have. I shouldn't have been in that scenario. I should never have been in the scenario where I was taking multiple hits to that. I guess I should just have run off. I guess maybe my rule should be after my first hit I run off. Maybe. What it really should be is that I have health things on my hotbar. And after my first hit I use a healing item. Because as long as it's only a single rodent attacking me, and so as long as I'm fighting stuff with my fists, I should only ever have a single rodent fighting me at any one time. And as long as I am fighting stuff with my fists and only have a single rodent fighting me at any one time, I should never have explosives on my hotbar. I should never have explosives on my hotbar. Well, that then just frees it up for health. I got completely lost. Don't know how. and then experience the lag spike, and the terror of lag spike was getting slope speed towards going off the edge. That is the game trying to load in the Paradox Refinery. I really paid a heavy price for going in this direction, but it's significantly better to go in this direction in my point of view, because you've just got one horseman. I know what it's going to do. I'm not really concerned about it. That was a waste of a lot of time, and I'm lagging out a little bit and getting a little bit scared. I could have cut that closer and could have gotten more damage off in that time period, but I was a little bit scared. And I do go for I again could have made that. I go for a firecracker there just because it saves a little bit of time. Going for one firecracker feels like it's worth it, especially if the enemy's nearby. If the enemy's a little bit further off, probably not worth it. But if you've got an enemy that's just right next to you, use the firecracker, because the stun it does to you, it's active whilst it's flying, then that stun ends, and there's a stun that applies after it's just done damage. I'm fairly certain it doesn't apply consistently. I don't know where I'm going. Oh, yes, I do. Because guess who was an idiot? I'll give you a clue. It was me. I didn't buy any more spring shoes. Which means we're going back to Nexus Tower. Fortunately, that's fine, because, I've got to go back to Nexus Tower anyway at some point in this mission to Duke Exeter. So, alright, I can live with that. Going to Nexus Tower, hand that in, and whilst I'm there, I can pick up some stuff for Olivia Nightshade. From Olivia Nightshade, I can get my spring shoes, and I can do the one thing that's, currently, no spring shoe skips have ever been implemented in a hardcore LU run. This is the first time that they've actually been, or that at least this is the first time the Nile Forest one has been implemented. I have attempted it in a previous run, not successfully, and this will be the first time for the Forbidden Valley one being attempted. Spoiler alert that I do make it back that far, but come on. When I'm running from place to place, I really should make it back. Oh yeah, that was the other really disappointingly awful place I died. It was to those moving platforms in Forbidden Valley, because I got caught on some terrain slightly, and I didn't preserve momentum in the way I expected, and fell to my death. Yeah, that was the embarrassing one. So yeah, it's now just a case of going back, pick up the spring shoes, and once we get the spring shoes, we can go on our merry way to Forbidden Valley. And we can then pull off this out of bounds trick. And yeah, I've mentioned this before, I really do like the spring shoes as an out of bounds trick, because I think they are a fair out of bounds trick. They don't do that much that's that useful. And also, there's one reason I really want to do this, because I don't know whether or not it's possible. So one thing that the game never would have assumed you would have been able to do is get to the dragon battle without completing the missions running up to it. I guess the same is true in Avant Gardens. They would normally have assumed you couldn't get to the end, but lots of stuff in LU basically is locked behind quest chains. So, for instance, I can't go to Crux Prime right away. I have to complete this quest chain first. Fortunately, it is quite a short quest chain. I do quite like the fact... I don't know what I'm doing at this stage. I do quite like the fact that the game doesn't force you. The game, it's kind of fair. The game tests that you're capable of surviving in Crux Prime, and I guess it's also kind of a thing that you're not just a player straight out of Nimbus Station who's just going to go to Crux Prime and just get loads and loads and loads of free XP. I mean, you could do that, and I did do that on an old character back in Live, and it was an awful decision, because that meant that my grind for XP later on was really difficult, as opposed to the character I initially started with that didn't know Crux Prime existed for ages, and so never got past it. me debating the number of spring shoes to get, I go for 5 just in case. I then walk around in a circle for a bit. And here we are. We are up to the final clip. This is the clip that will get us the remainder, not the clip, final out of bounds trick. This is the out of bounds trick that will get us the remainder of the flags. And it's not technically an out of bounds glitch because it doesn't get you. I think when we stay out of bounds, most of the time we mean onto the terrain object. And specifically the point where the terrain object, a place where the terrain object was not structured for a player to be. However, I would argue this counts as out of bounds. It is in bounds, but it's out of bounds for that point in the game. And yeah, it's the nice thing about it's the nice thing about this skip, which is, well, potentially at any rate, you can get to the dragon battle early. Which is quite nice because smashing a dragon is quite a milestone in LU. And being able to get to those dragons early would be quite nice. So if we can get over the gate, and if it turns out that when we get over the gate we can still go to the dragon instance, that's brilliant. Now there's one reason to expect this would be the case, which is the history of the dragon instance. And it was the fact that originally the dragon instance wasn't a separate instance. Originally, you could literally just go through that gate, where there's the dragon statue. You could just go straight through there, and you could fight the dragons. I don't know about straight through there. I was never actually on there for this. This is stuff I've heard since then. But yeah, originally it wasn't a separate instance. You would just walk through there, and in fact, if you look through the gates, you can still see the islands. The islands are still there. I don't know if their physics are there, but the actual, at least the random objects are there. I've never found a way to make it through legitimately. And I've never actually... I don't know. Getting out of bounds illegitimately is like just with flying. Obviously, I can't do it in DLU. And everywhere else, it's kind of lost its charm. Like, I know I can do it. And it doesn't take a huge amount of skill for me to be able to do that. So I never really challenge myself to do so. So here we are. Came back into Forbidden Valley. I don't remember where we respawn. I don't remember if we respawn back on the tree. No, we don't. But it's fine. We can run through this bit pretty quickly. And then we can try the cool clip. Not clip. Out of bounds glitch. I'm going to keep saying clip because I just say clip when I mean out of bounds glitch. Because for ages that was all we had. Were the clips. And then they were shown to be not live accurate, and we got something that actually was live accurate. Which was the spring jump. Spring jump, and it's not just the spring jump in fairness. There is also the super jump ability, but that's far less useful and far less general. The super jump ability is an ability that certain Venture League classes have, and it is worthless in comparison to spring shoes. It has some worth, I guess, in the fact that it is cheap. It doesn't cost, you just get the item and it only costs imagination from there on out, where spring shoes cost 1,000 a use. However, spring shoes are really useful because they're low cooldown. Their low cooldown are what makes spring shoes as useful as they are. The super jump has a really long cooldown, so you need something else to help you stay in the air. And if you've got something else helping you stay in the air, what's at that stage? That thing, i.e. the spring shoes, is what's doing all the work. Okay, so you'll notice a little bit of a clever move there from me, if I do say so myself, going forward and loading in everything in advance. I have, in the past, made that jump made the jump I'm about to do while stuff is loading in, but it's terrifying, and it would be much nicer if I didn't have to deal with that. It's added risk, and thus far, this is one of my longest runs in the fact that it's been going for, as I say it here, it's going for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. And this is also, this is a minor anniversary. It's my 40th run, 40th hardcore year. You can see the game still lags out. Evidently, there was one more ghosting volume left for me to interact with. And I don't try jumping across there, because I think there's an area down there where you can get into an out of bounds / soft lock. I don't know if it is a soft lock or if it will smash you. I don't remember, and I don't want to find out. So I'm going to play this one very carefully. I don't remember. Yeah, I chicken out there. I think from memory that is the correct place to jump, but I completely chicken out and go for this and go for the this one again because it looks lower. However, whilst it looks low, I think it's also further off. Yeah, you can see it's quite a ways off, trying to go for the actual lowest point there. So instead, we don't go for that. We go for the other corner. But I don't know when I realised that. Maybe I realised that this time. It seems like I'm setting myself up for it. Oh, it seems like I'm setting myself up for that, which isn't a good idea. But I think process of elimination has led me to the correct answer here, which is that. And now, time to make it across. So yeah, this is, to my knowledge, I guess the first time anyone, at least in a live accurate way, like at any point on a live accurate server, has ever managed to get across here. Except I don't. Because I still have my muscle memory from doing this with a spear. And the trick with the spear is you spam Alt. Again, there's a little bit of timing to it, but realistically you do want to be hitting Alt as quickly as possible, because there's no downside to hitting Alt. You want to hit Alt, there is like an ideal timing to hit Alt, but the thing is, it's quite hard to hit timings that precisely, and I'm not really convinced that LU even responds to timings that precisely. Like, there's a theoretical timing you should hit it with, but I'm not convinced LU even responds like that accurately to times. So in reality, it's far better to just spam it as much as you can. And yes, you might be a little bit off with your timing, but if you're just spamming it quickly enough, that doesn't matter. You do want to be certain for spring jumps that you transition, or for at least for spear-assisted spring jumps, that you transition from the spring jump from the spamming 5 to spamming Alt at the right time, and that could be quite difficult to get the timings exact on that. But here we are. This is the first time in a completely live accurate run. Well, I don't know if I actually managed this on DLU on a completely live accurate account. I don't think so. It's definitely the first time someone has ever been here without using any equipable items. Or I guess without any GM commands, because I'm sure there probably were some. And I nearly lose it all, because look at the angle of that terrain. This thing is something you're meant to bounce up on. Some of these rocks are designed for you to be able to land on them. That was the rock I was considering going to. There that I just landed on. Yeah, a lot of those rocks are flat. The one I tried to jump on was not flat. That nearly ended in disaster. So now we're here. We can do some of the standard sightseeing stuff. In particular, one thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to try and get the imagination brick. I'm not certain what it is I'm doing or considering at the moment. But yeah, so the first thing is try and get the imagination brick. In order to do that, there are a couple of things we can do. One of them is we can rebuild all of these with a friend, or just extremely quickly, as the game suggests we do. However, apparently, I've been told this is live accurate. I don't know. I haven't looked. But apparently there's a live accurate clip you can do, which isn't really much of a clip. It's just the hitbox for the brick extends a little bit out of that test tube. So you can just get it like that. Then we have one heart flag we want to get to, and this is terrifying. It honestly shouldn't be. However, I know I have died to this in the past on a far stronger character, and so I want to be very, very, very careful with how I do this. Also, points for anyone who sees the twist that's coming up. I know I've talked about the twist that's coming up at some point on the speedrunning Discord, but yeah. But yeah, so at this point, I've decided let's buy a ton of Tough Buff Sauce. Let's go spend 4,000 coins on it. I'm debating whether or not it's worth it, but it's pretty good value for money. Pirate-sized Ninja Clothes, I want to get those now, so I don't have to get them later. And don't have a ton of money left, because I've spent a lot more than I should have done on spring jumps by this point, but you know what, it's fine. And so, ready to go. I've got a Potion of Shielding. That may have been what I tabbed out for a minute ago, was to try and I'm tabbing out for again now, was realising, wait a second, Kamikaze doesn't actually stock Potions of Shielding. Who does stock Potions of Shielding? Turns out, no vendor in the game does, which is a little bit problematic. They have a drop chance from certain things, and that's about it. There is no reliable way, aside from RNG, which I guess is reliable if you do it enough, but it's not really reliable other than that. There is no reliable way of getting Potions of Shielding in the game, which is annoying, given they're one of the more powerful items to keep us alive. Fortunately, we don't need them. I'm going to take out this Horseman. This Horseman respawns pretty quickly, which I didn't realise at the time of doing this. Yeah, I'm looking for my health stuff, realising I'm in the wrong place, and don't want to get hit by 3 of those simultaneously. So as I was mentioning, I don't think I've finished explaining this, but yes, say you're getting attacked by a Horseman, and they are using their ranged attack on you. Each one of the orbs of their ranged attack deals 3 damage. That can deal 9 damage to you, which even if you have like the full 7 hearts, or even if you have more than that, even if you've got the full 7 hearts and a Hardtack Biscuit, and this is a little bit scary. I've got a Horseman coming up behind me, but fortunately I'll make it out in time. Yeah, even if you have the full 9 hearts of Hardtack Biscuit, plus Forbidden Valley, plus Avant Gardens, plus Gnarled Forest, even if you have all of that, you're still stuck. You're still smashed. However, if you use a Tough Buff Sauce, you're completely safe, because each one of those does 3 damage. 3 of them hit you simultaneously, that's 9 damage, but it will reduce the damage from every single one of those projectiles by 1, which actually takes it down to 6 damage, which means even without the Hardtack Biscuit, you're safe. And here, I use the Tough Buff Sauce. I have not used this before on an LU server, and that is a lovely effect, and it completely timed out on me at the point I was most scared of. Is at this point on the past, I've been swarmed by Maelstrom Horsemen and smashed. And that was what I was very scared of happening there. That's what could have happened. Fortunately, it doesn't. And as kind of a nice corollary to this, I also lured 1 Horseman over to Brick Fury. And so we're going to see if we can get another one. I am letting myself get very, very low on health at this stage. And the issue is that with the amount of health I have now, actually, it's somewhat harder to... I don't just regen it all in 1 healing sherry. I still, note though, have not picked up all of the heart flags in Forbidden Valley. There's at least 1 I know off the top of my head where it is, that I haven't picked it up. And, well, yeah. And I'll realise where one of them is in a second. And it is just over by the Dragon Battle area, which fortunately was somewhere I planned to go anyway. First, I think I'm just going to really, really try really hard to lure this Maelstrom Horseman in, and it just really, really doesn't want to go. I got 2 following after me pretty much freely earlier, and here they're just like, no, they're refusing to. Don't really know why I'm going to say, that was why I was getting so much for that mission. It was for the sake of getting an extra Potion of Shielding, because I have now completed like the only two proper ways of getting Potions of Shielding in the game. I don't think that mission that I just did is a daily mission, so I don't think you can do it again. So I've gotten all of the guaranteed potions of shielding in the game. Now I'm looking around, because I know there's a flag around here somewhere. Don't remember where it is exactly, but I do. But again, I'm still missing heart flags. You can see I'm a bit confused here. I'm still missing multiple heart flags. I don't actually, off the top of my head, know where all the heart flags I'm missing even are. But you may begin to see where my problem lies. And I will certainly realise this in a second or two. First off, I'm going to look around the back of it here for a heart flag. I'll find there isn't one. And I'm not certain what I'm trying to do here. I think maybe I'm just feeling like, oh, I probably should stock up on maybe tough buff potions. Tough buff sauce, maybe something like that. And that'd be a good idea. Won't help me. It won't help me with what is to come. Which is the following. The realisation that I am entirely trapped. I have no way of getting back. Because the thing is, came up with a really clever way of getting over this. Okay, I'm going to go and complete this mission for this ninja. I think I'm just prevaricating at this stage. Because I came up with this really clever trick to get me over the barrier. However, unfortunately, getting over the barrier entirely relied on having height to begin with. It is possible to height gain using spring shoes. Yeah, but this is where I'm realising it. It's possible to gain height using spring shoes. However, it is not possible in Hardcore LU. You need a spear to be able to do that. And at this point, I have this was the clutch that I was referring to. That was genuinely like some high tier clutch. So what happened there was I slipped off the edge. That puts me in the falling state. I would not have made it in the falling state. I would not have made where I was trying to go to. Oh yeah, at this point I go back to check that the dragon battle was actually acceptable. It is. But yeah, so what happened there was I got into the falling state, which meant that I wasn't going to make it, because basically the edge was shaped in such a way that I could and would enter the falling state. Falling state, you cannot jump. You cannot do the second double jump, and you also have significantly less control over your character's speed. Which basically meant that I was nearly dead there. Then I attacked once, which basically, if you attack whilst in midair, even if you're in the falling state, you can actually get some sort of attack off. If you've just been in that falling state for a second or two, you can get, I think it is a ground pound of some sort off if you like jump and do it. I don't remember exactly what I did. Then when you land the ground pound, you will have a second, and that will put you back into the game will notice you're in the air, and that will put you back into the I am jumping state. It will not put you back into the I have jumped state. Or I have already done my second double jump state, which is far more like the falling state. And which is far more limited. So yeah, in order to save that there, I had to ground pound. I then seriously panicked when I ground pounded, because of course that's awful, because that just pushes you downwards. Then I remembered mid-fall that, oh wait a second, I do have a trick to counter this. I can ground pound cancel, which is when you wait about a second after ground pounding and hit Alt. That will then cancel the ground pound. It will place you in the jump state, and that will give me the second jump of a double jump, which is enough to save me. It was so close to me dying there, and in the end, doesn't really matter. Because you can see me mucking around trying to get through this wall. I won't manage it. I don't have any idea how I can get back without equipping a ninja herd. I have spent a fair amount of time looking at this. I have literally no idea. I theorised the other night about if you could find a quick build sitting on top of a terrain object, maybe you could manage something. Because I'm fairly convinced that with spring jumping I could probably get out of bounds from somewhere like up here. I could just go far enough in one particular direction to avoid a kill plane, make it out of bounds. That shouldn't be too difficult whatsoever. However, yeah, the issue is, even if I do that, I have no way of getting back up onto the surface. And relocking used to work in LU, it does not work anymore. So currently, I am stuck. I have no plans for getting past this. Relocking will do it on certain servers like Uchu. That is not live accurate, unfortunately, and it will not save me here. I don't have a solution. If anyone has any thoughts, please let me know. With that, thank you very much for watching. I've been Ninja. Hopefully I will never have to do a post-commentary thing again, because this was basically just talking but without actually getting to play. It's quite sad. I've been Ninja. I'll see you around. Bye.